Hey there, everybody. It's Caitlin, your geeky girlfriend, and we've got laundry to sort and put away. Um, and while we're doing that, I'm going to talk about the other two books that I finished on maternity leave. So this is Postpartum Book Reviews, Part 2. There is a Part 1 already up on my channel, so if you haven't seen that one yet, go check it out. And I had mentioned in that video that there was going to be a part 2 because this was actually the first book that we read for the year, but I wanted to wait and film these two books together because they are part of what I like to call a collective, or when the stories kind of have like they're part of the same universe, right? So the characters kind of interact in all three of the books. So we're going to be talking about the Spoiler Alert series. And it is considered a series, but I say it's a collective, meaning you can read these in any order. I actually would recommend reading this one first because in terms of the timeline, this one actually happens first or earliest in the timeline. Then read Spoiler Alert and then read All the Feels. That would be my recommendation. However, Spoiler Alert is considered the first one. I've already reviewed that book on my page or here on the channel. It had its own review, so you can go check that one out. So we're going to start with talking about All the Feels. This series is by Olivia Dade. Some things about this series, they all feature plus-size female characters. So if that's something that you are into, this whole collective features that. And they also feature men with like some sort of neurological difficulties. So in Spoiler Alert, Marcus has dyslexia. In All the Feels, Alex is the male lead character and he actually has ADHD. And then when we talk about Shipwrecked, Peter is the lead and he just kind of has like social awkwardness, like really struggles with conversations, starting conversations with others, continuing conversations with others, and really relies on his female counterpart to kind of accelerate those social skills. So when we talk about All the Feels, this one I think ended up being my favorite of the three. I read it second, and I really, really liked Lauren. Sorry, I have to make sure that none of these have poopy on them because that one looks like it might have a little bit, but we're going to just... I've been having to sort through like what has poopy on it because if it does, then we're just kind of putting in a box to get rid of because we don't like to put her in clothes that already have poopy on them because then it's hard to tell what she has gotten poopy or not. So I'm just trying to look at all these. But I really liked Lauren as a character and I really liked Alex as a character too. So overall, I liked both of the characters in All the Feels, and I liked how quickly like we kind of got into the love story of it. In Spoiler Alert, it kind of takes a little bit for Marcus and April to kind of get together, so you have that build up. This one is more of a forced proximity trope, and it's very obvious that the two characters are going to get together and the tension kind of builds quickly, and so for that reason it made it really easy to read. And I think that this one didn't lose my interest as much as the other two did, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Shipwrecked. But I remember in Spoiler Alert, there was a section in the middle that kind of bored me, and same with Shipwrecked. There was a whole part at the end that I was just like, okay, this book could have ended about 50 pages ago, and I would have been happy with that. And so I think these are all just like romance novels. The trope is like celebrity meets like fan slash common person. That's what all three of the books have in common, with the exception of Shipwrecked. Marcus and or not Marcus, Peter and Maria are both actors slash actresses. So that one is the only exception. But the other two, it's like a non-actress with a actor celebrity. And these, in my opinion, kind of are like a farce of the Game of Thrones, because in the books throughout all three of them, they talk about how the show writers like ran out of material and just had to go like on their own and kind of finish the series, and if you've watched Game of Thrones, you know that that is exactly what happened to Game of Thrones. Like, George R. R. Martin literally didn't write any books for seasons like 4 through 7, or however many seasons there were of that show. And so the last few seasons, especially season 7 and the series finale, really took a downward spiral because the writers didn't have any source material to go off of. And that's kind of what Olivia Dade pokes fun at in all three of these books. There's nothing really like stellar about any of them. I mean, overall, I think I gave each of them 3 stars on their own. So they're fine, right? Like, they're okay in terms of a romance book if you like celebrity. Essentially, the plot of All the Feels, which, like I said, was my favorite one, um, Alex gets in trouble when he is filming. He goes to a bar, gets in a bar fight. So then the showrunners pretty much hire him a minder. So somebody to like watch over him and go to all these events with him and make sure that he doesn't get into any more trouble. And that is Lauren. And she has kind of a rocky career past of her own. Like, she was an ER therapist in a mental, for a mental, uh, like a mental illness ward or floor. And so she is used to dealing with people with mental illnesses and like a lot of kind of abusive behavior and stuff like that. So that's kind of, and then she was kind of looking for a job change, but due to her own like familial trauma, she agrees to take this job. And like I said, it's very clear early on that those two are going to end up getting together. And I liked I guess, the relationship stereotype that was used in All the Feels, but essentially, Alex is kind of loose cannon, and he just says things and does things, and Lauren has to pick up the pieces. But throughout that, she kind of realizes that he's a sweet guy and really cares for her and cares about, his mom and his family, and donates a lot to charity and things like that. And then the plot of Shipwrecked is Maria and Peter have a one night stand and then end up getting both of them end up getting cast and have to work together for like 6 years in some remote island in Ireland. And that's why I say you should read Shipwrecked first, because Peter and Maria, like, you kind of follow the course of the show with them, whereas spoiler alert picks up like in the last season, and same with All the Feels. So Shipwrecked follows Peter and Maria through the 6 years of filming, through the like tumultuous run of the show, and it talks about all the other characters. And when in this one, it mentions how Alex and Lauren are together and how Marcus and April are together, but in my mind, this is where the story starts, is this one. So I would recommend reading Shipwrecked first, but All the Feels was definitely my favorite of the 3. Shipwrecked was fine. Like I said, they kind of are enemies to lovers. Like, she scorns Peter by not calling him or whatever, and then they end up having to spend all this time together. Well, he still loves her. This one jumps in right away with a lot of spice. So like literally first page, you're gonna be like, okay, we are in spicy territory here. I would say overall, all of these books fall in the 2 to 3 pepper spice category. This one they were discussing a topic that I literally didn't even understand what they were talking about until they went into more detail. So that kind of shows you the level of spice, but this one jumps right in. Like, literally first page, you're in the middle of a spicy scene. So just know that going in. All of these books, like I said, fall in that 2 to 3 pepper spice category. So if you don't like spice or want a little less spice, maybe skip these ones because you will get it. I would say the one with the least amount of spice is probably Spoiler Alert. I remember reading that one and kind of wanting a little bit more spice, but then this one is a nice amount and this one is a little bit too much. So you kind of get the Goldilocks run of spice. But overall, that really looks like it shrunk. Yeah, overall, I think I gave all of these respectively 3s out of 5, so not too bad. I was really close to giving All the Feels a 4, but I just didn't love. There was one thing about the ending, I think, that I just didn't love. I was like, it could have, like, I could have had just a little bit more of this or a little bit more, whatever. So I was almost giving that one 4 stars, but overall, I think the series gets a 3 out of 5 for me. And now I'm all done with that series. So that was one of my goals for this year, is just to read, like, finish series or read all of the books by, a certain author. So like Taylor Jenkins Reid is on my list this year. Ali Hazelwood is on my list this year. And I'm just going to try and like read everything that I own by those authors, get them off my shelf, make room for more, things like that. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. These are fine books. Like I said, if you like spice, then you're in for it with these ones. If you don't like spice, maybe skip this series. But if you like plus size female leads, if you like non traditional male leads, or like, male leads that aren't just the super perfect guy, then um, definitely check these ones out. But just know what you're getting into. But yeah, that I think is all I wanted to say. I don't really, I don't like to go into super big plot details in these videos, just because I want everybody to make their own opinions. And I just kind of say if you should read them or not. And if you like these types of books, then you'll like it, so you should read it, type of a thing. And then you can make your own decision and decide from there what you want to do. And trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. I don't think so. I think that was it. Stay tuned for more book reviews. My goal for this year is still 48 books. We're trying to read 4 books a month, and I didn't quite make it there last year. These 2 books are book number like 4 and 5 for the year. I have finished a nonfiction book, so I'll be talking about that one in a separate video. And then we're still trying to read like about 12 nonfiction books this year, just to keep the learning. And I love learning new things. And most of our nonfiction books this year are going to be either celebrity memoirs or, of course, parenting books. So just stay tuned for more of that. And I have kind of changed my Instagram, if you follow me over there, to more just everyday mom content. But we're still going to be posting stuff about clothes and stuff about travel and activities. So I just kind of changed the name, and I'm going to hone in on the niche a little bit. But this page will still continue to be the Geeky Girlfriend page, where all of my movie reviews, book reviews, and all of that still exists. So thank you all so much for being here. If you're new here, make sure you hit that red button and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me while we fold our laundry today, and but while we sort it out and all of those things. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you've read anything by Olivia Dade, if you've checked these 2 out, if you plan to check these 2 out. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.